Hello everyone and welcome. I'd like to present to you my interview with Flat Earth man Alex from January 23rd, 2019. Is the first conversation in this series. We met in Barcelona for the first time in the Encuentro Terraplanista with our friend Iro Landucci. Everybody in the Flat Earth movement has heard of Alex. He's one of the best known, if not the best known, creative content maker and songwriter in the movement. He's also a very talented storyteller, I think. He packs a lot of content into his lyrics, which is one of the themes that we're talking about in this conversation. We talk about Alex's transformation from being a globe believer into being what I call a space skeptic or a flat earther right now. We talked about what he sees coming in the future, talk about some of the evidence that he finds more compelling. We also talk about some of his music, and I edited it all in a way that we get a taste for some of the songs he's talking about. And I encourage you to go and check out his channel, of course. And if you have any suggestions for conversations in the future, just let me know. I'm looking forward to hear from you, and I'll be here in the chat talking to the people during the premiere. And I hope Alex can come along. We've been corresponding today, and I think he's looking forward to this. All right, so thank you very much, and I'll see you later, guys. Peace.
Hey, I'm back home, and I have some wonderful memories, and thanks to you for putting that video together, man. It's a really nice memento and a souvenir of my time in Barcelona, man. It was awesome. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that was fun to do. I got a comment actually on that video. Some people believe you're an actor.
I suppose what I'm doing in terms of the music is, I am acting. I mean, I'm putting on a different voice, aren't I? I'm putting on like a country voice or like this American voice is kind of what,
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that started was because when I made my first song, it just sounded better like that, It was originally a poem in my phone, and I got into the studio and I started to record it, and this voice sort of came out. It just sounded better, doing it like that style. And the other reason is I didn't want to put myself out there. I didn't want the real me out there making Flat Earth music videos, because at that time I wasn't very comfortable with Flat Earth. It was, I didn't want my friends and family saying that, oh man, he's gone crazy. Look, what's he singing about? So I invented a character, so people can see it as satire or just a bit of fun or whatever. But of course, you and I both know there's a lot more truth in my lyrics and my character than meets the eye. So right. I guess I am an actor, I suppose, because I am. I'm performing. It's a character at the end of the day. So in that respect, I am acting, but I'm very open about it. I'm not sitting here in this interview saying, "Hey man, how's it going, man?" Yeah, man. I'm not pretending to be that guy. Most people who know my music and who watch my channel and listen to the interviews I do know it's a character. So if that's an accusation, he's an actor, he's a then they haven't done their research,
Right. I guess they're trying to say that you don't believe the Earth is flat, or what most people believe in the movement, for instance.
Oh no, I very much believe it. I've done my research, as you can clearly see by the songs and the content of the lyrical content of my songs. It's obvious that I've done my research there. So I very much believe it, and very much I will. I don't think it's a belief. I think the globe is a belief. What I have is an understanding. What I have is a knowing, an understanding. So and I'm just using my creative talents, if you like, to express that in a comedic way, because I think music can touch people, in a way that a 2-hour documentary can't. You can't necessarily get somebody to watch a 2-hour documentary, but you can get them to watch a 5-minute music video, especially if it's funny. You don't have to mention Flat Earth. You can just send one of my videos to someone and say, hey, have a look at this guy. He's crazy. He's hilarious. So it's a really good way of sowing the seed, and a really good way of getting the information across. So I absolutely 100% believe everything I'm saying. I wouldn't take back a single lyric of my song.
And how was it for you, like that transformation from before and after? Was your first contact with the Flat Earth information, and then did you have a bunch of questions as well did you have that kind of reaction? I think this is probably not true, and started looking at NASA, and how was it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, some of the first things I started learning was when I think the first video I watched was Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues. And when he started talking about the fourth wall, I was like, holy crap, yeah, they never show you the fourth wall. And something inside of me sort of clicked. I thought there's something to this. And I continued researching, and of course, it just denial at first, like, this can't be true, this can't be, it took me a good few months before I realized, oh my God. I was quite angry at first and frustrated, but then of course that then moves on to an emotional response, like, oh my God, look at all these harnesses on the International Space Station, look at these wires. That was amazing to me, that why are they using wires? Why are they pretending to be in zero gravity? They're clearly faking it. So that was when I wrote the song Puppet Show. All you're watching is a puppet show. And, the character there, he's got the strings and everything. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it was quite an emotional, it was frustrating. It was incredible experience to go through that realization. And I guess for me, some people handle it in different ways. And for me, as a musician, I had to put it into music. And, I could be a funny guy. I grew up in the pubs and the clubs entertaining, and I have that sort of pub sense of humor, So I thought, well, that's what I can contribute here, I can't keep this to myself. There's no, when you understand this stuff, you want to tell everybody. But I guess my way of telling everybody is through my music in a comedic way.
Puppet show from President Nixon. Well, listen up, they're doing it again, it seems. Check out the harnesses and green screens. I used to work a lot in film and TV. I know a bit about the television trickery to create the illusion that you're somewhere that you're not. A green screen is what you're gonna use a lot. Or if you wear a harness and attach it to the ceiling, the illusion that you're floating is what they'll be believing. All you're watching is a puppet show. Yeah, the whole world's a stage. Astronauts, they're actors, of course, and yeah, they all get paid. Look at me, ma, I'm floating in space. No, you're not, you're lying to the human race.
So that I guess the album that I've released is if you listen to it, you'll see that was my awakening. Every track is when I'm learning something new. Don't Believe in Gravity is one of my tracks. Do You Still Believe We Went to the Moon is another one of my tracks. When I learned all about that, and Welcome to the Satellite Hoax, when I learned all about satellites, and they're not what we're being told they are. The whole album, I guess you would say, is my awakening to this stuff.
How was it? How did you find out? Like, did the moon come first by any chance, or were you tuned to these things before it started coming out?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty conspiratorially minded anyway. I mean, I woke up to the 9/11 in sort of about 2012, I think, when I realised that was just absolute nonsense, and the mainstream narrative of that event was complete nonsense, and we were being lied to on a huge scale. That triggered my conspiracy research, and then of course you start learning things like what the New World Order is, and the Illuminati, and all of the fluoride and chemtrails, and I went through that whole, oh my God, we're being attacked. It's a multi-pronged attack wherever we go. All our information, everything is a lie. So that was kind of my that was very disturbing for me. I remember having quite a lot of sleepless nights over that. So by the time I got to Flat Earth, it was like, oh, okay, well, everything else is a lie. I already knew that. So when you get to Flat Earth, it's not crazy to think that maybe we've been lied to about where we live, if everything else is a lie. So it was easier to swallow, I think, the Flat Earth thing. So yeah, I was pretty conspiratorially minded before I hit Flat Earth.
What was it that made you finally see it when you're looking at the information? You're talking about the fourth wall, but the ISS and the animations and the 3D augmented reality stuff. But then, what about the Earth as a ball?
I don't think there's one specific thing that made me just go, bang, okay, now I know it's flat. I think it was just a gradual learning process for me, and you just got to add all these things together. It wasn't just suddenly all the lights came on. I think that the fourth wall thing on Mark Sargent's video was the thing that made me go, there's something to this. Yeah, maybe NASA are liars. And then when you start seeing the green screen and you understand what a zero-G plane is, and you keep researching NASA. NASA is the key. And once you find out that, all the so-called photographs of Earth are not photographs, they're composite or images, and that inspired the song that I wrote, No Photographs of Earth.
It's not a photo at all, man. It was made in Photoshop, cause there ain't no photographs of Earth. Somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a globe, no, none at all. Why the hell can't no one take a photo of this ball? He was just damn right.
So yeah, there was just a bunch of things, and I think I got it within the first couple of 3 months. But there was still this thing in the back of my mind going, it can't be true, because I'm still suffering from a bit of cognitive dissonance, and you just have to undo all of that program. I think gradually, after about 4, 5, 6 months, I knew it was flat, but I was 99% flat, and there was this 1% going, it can't be. And then I guess you get to 8 months, a year of listening to other researchers. And it's just a dot connecting exercise. You're just taking a bit of information here, and you're creating your own reality. And I guess after a year, I think I was a pretty comfortable flat earther. Now I'm 2.5 years, no, maybe 3 years now, and I'm certain now. It's pretty clear to me.
You did one song and put that out, and with the video already, and things start to roll from there. Basically,
yeah. I mean, when I made the video, it was just recorded on my iPhone. There was no green screen being used. It was just a bunch of different angles in the studio, and I put the hat on and some shades, and I started to sing like that, and I put the video out there, and I put it out on a channel, on my ringtone channel. I didn't think it would go, but people would like it. I just thought I'll put it out there and see what happens. And then, of course, all the prominent flat earthers found it. People like Mark Sargent and Darwinism and Globebusters and Rob Skiba, they were all commenting on the video, saying that they loved it.
Why believe such things? Cause everybody knows the Earth's a ball and that it spins. Well, you must be pretty crazy if you think the Earth is flat. Cause we all know that it's a globe, and that's a simple fact. So I said, what about the photographs that NASA takes from space? He gave a knowing smile and told me, man, those things are fake. But what about the videos that I've seen with my 2 eyes? What about them? He replied, have you heard of CGI? Oh, NASA's faking everything that you have ever seen. And as for flying to the moon, well, they ain't never been. Indeed, my friend, their lying scum is there for you to see. Just take some time, look into it, and the truth will set you free.
And which was, of course, fantastic for me. I thought, right, great, this is great. They're all loving, all of these people that I've learned from were loving my stuff. So I thought, right, well, I've got to make some more stuff here. So that's when I went out and bought myself a green screen, and then the videos started to get a little bit more animated, and I was able to do more stuff with the green screen. But yeah, I think the very first video I did was how I sort of shoehorned myself into the community, so to speak. And then, I started getting contacted, Globebusters contacted me, and they wanted me on the show. And I started doing a few interviews, and then before you know it, I got asked to be perform at the Flat Earth International Conference, and then you start meeting people, and as you know, you and I met in Barcelona, so it just sort of started all from that first song.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And how was that in the conference? How was that experience? Like, did you expect that to happen? Were you working hard by that time? Did you already have a bunch of videos out?
Well, the first conference, which conference are you talking about? The one in Denver or the Barcelona one?
You played in Denver.
Yeah, I played in Denver. Yeah.
And before that, you didn't go to the rally one.
No, I didn't go to the rally one. I had like 3 songs out at the time, and I was considering it, but no, I thought, oh no, let's see what happens, and let's see what kind of event this is. And I was watching the live feed, and sure enough, they were playing my songs during the interval. I thought, oh, that's cool. And I also won an award at that first conference for the best flat earth video or something like that. So I was already being recognized for my music back then in 2017. And then shortly after that, I was asked to play at the one in 2018, which was Denver in November. and that was incredible. That was a real opportunity to see how much the music had resonated with people. As soon as I walked into the hotel, there were people grabbing me for photograph opportunity, people hugging me. Thank you so much for your music. And it was like being famous. It was really, really strange, very, very strange. And, even a couple of mothers came up to me and hugged me and said, I use your music to educate my children about Flat Earth. And, I had no idea what I'd started, really. I've kind of made myself famous in the Flat Earth community in a way, which wasn't my intention, but just going to one of these events and seeing, how much the music has touched people was incredible, and it kind of spurs me on to continue doing what I do, I guess. But it was a real crazy experience, real crazy.
And you met a bunch of people that you've seen their videos before?
Oh, so many. I mean, there was everybody there from the Flat Earth community. There was David Weiss, there was Darwinism, there was allegedly Dave, there was Globebusters, there was Rob Skiba, there was Robbie Davison celebrated. I mean, I've got all of their signatures on my guitar, most of them. ODD was there. I got them all to sign my guitar. Crikey, who else was there? I mean, I've only got to look at mine. Yeah, Irulan Ducci was there, Paul on the Plane. Matt Long, Patricia Steer, David Marsh. Oh, there was all of them. So, all of these people that I'd learned from over the years were all there, so they were kind of like, in a way, celebrities to me, sort of Flat Earth people, not idols, I guess, but, the people that I learned from and I look up to. And we all got to hang out, which was fantastic. So, it's been a bit of a whirlwind the last couple of years.
And what have been like your favorite, sort of most memorable, if you have videos, or and where are you at? Like, are you still searching for stuff? Are you still interested in what's going on? Like the different, for instance, like they had the no gas on airplanes kind of thing going for a while, and now it's the like mud floods, or there's different kinds of waves of things that come into the kind of system of the Flat Earth community, so to speak, and you keep touch of that, and you...
Yeah, I do. I very rarely watch the television. My viewing choice is usually YouTube. I'm subscribed to my favourite channels, obviously, and they're not all Flat Earth. They might be talking about the direct energy weapons or the California fires and all of that kind of thing. And I know about the Tartary kind of thing that's just coming out now, and the jet fuel hoax and all of that. It's fascinating stuff. I mean, I'm very interested in learning what's been hidden from us. Who wouldn't be? So I still keep up to date with it. I wouldn't say there's no more to learn on Flat. I mean, I know it's flat. That's it. I'm very interested in Martin Kenny's work as well. He goes sort of beyond Flat Earth, really, and talks about possible lands, beyond Antarctica, and that kind of thing. So I'm still in the loop. I still watch a lot of presentations and other researchers. I still think there's so much more to learn. I think it's not just about Flat Earth. I think I certainly know that I know nothing. Once you know these things and you realise how deep the rabbit hole goes, you realise, holy crap, I don't know anything. So I love learning. So I'll always be in the loop, and I'll always want to know what's going on with Flat Earth, and whether it goes mainstream or not. That's another question, isn't it? I think it might just be swept to a corner of the internet. I don't know, but we'll see. I hope it goes mainstream. We'll see.
David Weiss was saying that some big names are going to come out. He knows of a couple of really big people, supposedly people really well known, who are going to come out as Flat Earthers, and that's going to blow off the lid.
Well, maybe. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. I certainly know of one A-lister who was name dropped by Mark Sargent. I won't say the name, but he was a very, very big television and movie star. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, because it's a career killer, isn't it? Yeah, that's the guy. Whether that happens, it'll be wonderful to see an A-list celebrity come out and and confirm what we all know. But as I say, it can damage careers. It can you can get ostracized from the community, from whatever
So how has it been for you to talk to people in your life, the people who don't see this stuff, who don't understand the NASA's line, for example, or believe in the moon landing? Do you have them in your life? Do you?
Well, it's been very frustrating, to be honest with you. I don't have a massive circle of friends anymore, and I like it that way. I like my privacy. I like my solitude. I'm almost recluse to a certain extent. I did have a bunch of sort of friends who were, in the matrix, so to speak, and I tried to, flat smack, as it were, and try and open their minds a little bit. But some people are just not ready for it. In fact, some people just get downright angry with you. And actually, that one night I went out with a couple of friends, and they got incredibly angry. And that night it inspired me to write my song, I Don't Want to Talk About NASA.
Well, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can tell people about NASA, but you can't make them think.
Which was a song about, every time I try and talk about NASA, I lose another one of my friends, was the chorus in that song. And it's very, very true. So I you have to gauge your audience very well. You have to sort of see how open people are, and a good way to start with that is the moon landings. Do you believe we went to the moon? If they say, oh, of course, because I saw it on television, then let's change the subject and let's talk about sport or something, I don't know. But I try not to talk about it. This is one of the reasons I like to go to flat earth meetups, because you're around like-minded people. You can speak your mind. Nobody judges you there. But no, as for my circle of friends here, no, I think I'm slowly distancing myself from my old life, and I'm now having a new circle of friends arrive because of this understanding, I guess. I guess it's an attraction thing.
What about some of these altercations that you had with your friends? Like, what was it based on? What was it that they couldn't see in us? How would you get over an argument?
I mean, some people don't want to. We're on a night out and they want to drink, and they just want to talk about And there comes a guy like me and Mike, who's my buddy who you met. And we're trying to show them stuff on our phone, say, look at this, there's no curvature here. You can see, the boat's clearly not going over the horizon. And you can just see their eyes rolling, and they're shaking their head, and, their eyes glaze over, and they're not interested. They just want to change the topic of conversation, and they want to start talking about their golf match that day, which I have absolutely no interest in whatsoever. So it's a complete mismatch of
interesting.
Completely different mindsets. So, they're not my friends anymore. And that's a good thing, because I'm attracting other people in my life now that get me, and I get them. It's been a tough ride, but, it's all good fodder for writing songs.
And are you still going to write? Are you writing, we doing something next, or you're promoting this album now?
I'm trying to promote this album now, really. Whether I've got another album in me, I don't know. At the moment, I'm pretty exhausted from the last one. I'm actually quite exhausted from Barcelona, actually. But once I sort of gather myself, and there are some ideas I've got. I want to write another album. I might want to do a blues album. I certainly want to write a song about Antarctica. That's a huge subject, and I think that's worthy of a song. Once I get enough ideas for more content, then no doubt I will be in the studio making more content, because I'm not the kind of guy to do nothing, and I love my music. I love being in my studio. I love doing what I do. So, but at the moment, I'm just gonna market this album and try and get it into the mainstream a bit more. I want more people to know about this album, and once I'm confident that that's selling well, and then I'll probably move on to the next project. What it will be, I don't know. Whether it will all be flat Earth related, but I get so many requests. Can you do a song about CBD oil? Can you do a song about the Federal Reserve? Can you do a song about direct energy weapons? I get requests every single day. So there's no shortage of subjects at all. So I don't know what the next album will be, if there'll be one, but I'm sure, never say never. I'm sure once I collect myself and get my energy levels back up, there'll be another album on the cards. We'll see.
And how was it in Barcelona then? Like, how did you get to go, and what was it? Did you have a plan? Did you plan to go before? Or?
Well, I met Eru in Denver, and he told me then. He said, "Oh, I'm organising one in Barcelona in January." So, oh, okay, that's cool. That's only like 5 hours drive from me. So I contacted Iru in January, and I said, can you give me the details of where it is and the dates, etc. And I said to my buddy Mike, do you want to go? It's only 5 hours up the road. He said, sure, let's go. So we hopped in the car, and I didn't plan on getting on stage and playing a song. Iru said, I'll just bring your guitar. You don't have to play. Just, bring it and see what happens. And I kind of like that vibe because there's less pressure there. So I took my guitar and I thought, just plug it in and just play an acoustic song, which is what happened. And I'm really glad I went now. I'm really glad I went because, seeing the footage that you put together is a great memento. Meeting, other flat earthers, of course, is always fantastic. And it was good for my Spanish as well. I was surrounded by, so many Spanish people that didn't speak English. So it really tested me on my Spanish. I've got a long way to go with my Spanish. Don't get me wrong, a very long way to go. But, integrating in that way to a Spanish flat earth conference was very good. And I'm very glad I went.
There was a great vibe in the room when Ida was speaking and showing some of the stuff. People are laughing at it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great guy. He's such a sweet guy. He's very well respected in the community. His knowledge is incredible. The research that he's doing, he has a spot on Globebusters every Sunday as well when he does it all in his second language. And, that's impressive enough for me as it is, but let alone his knowledge and his research about this subject. So he gets a lot of respect from a lot of people. So I think a lot of people were there to see him, obviously. And he's very well liked. That's why there was such a great vibe. And I think there's going to be such a great vibe in a room like that in any way, because everybody has the same mindset, the same understanding. It's like I don't want to say the word, but it's almost like a brotherhood, isn't it? It's not a secret society, but it's a collection of people that understand the same thing, and there's no one's judging you there. So I think that's why you get such a good energy at those conferences.
Salud. Todos somos muy importantes. Nadie menos importante ni más importante. En este viaje, cada engranaje es fundamental.
Would you ever think like a Glober again?
Would I ever become a Glober, do you mean?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think that's possible. I don't think it's possible, no. I mean, if you could show me, I'm willing to learn. If there was irrefutable evidence that we're on a globe, I'd happily take it and say, okay, all right, I'll give up I'll give up the music tomorrow. I'll start singing about the globe. But, I haven't seen it yet.
Were you ever together with somebody who got it in that moment, realized some of this stuff? Did you ever talk to someone who started kind of catching up on it?
Yeah, my buddy Mike is a good example. The guy you met who was with me in Barcelona. I mean, I'd been looking into flat Earth for maybe a month or two before I mentioned it to him. And of course, his immediate reaction was, "Don't be ridiculous. There's too much proof of a globe. Don't be so silly." And I said, dude, just look into it. That's all I'm asking. Just look into it. And sure enough, he's an open-minded guy. We spoke a lot about, previous conspiracies. We had a lot in common there. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, he went away and did a bit of research. And, about a few weeks later, I got a text message from him saying, holy shit, it's flat. So he got it pretty quickly, So, I often like to tell that story. But so he got flat smacked. But yeah, he got it pretty quickly.
Did he go out checking? Because you guys live on the coast, and when you see the ocean, it does make a difference. Because you start paying attention a little more. Did it make you change your way of looking at things? Like when you first?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we can see Ibiza, which is about 60, 70 miles away, and Mike did a bunch of tests as well, and he put it on. Debunk. What's the debunk site? Metabunk. He took a load of photographs of Ibiza and said we shouldn't be able to see this, and did put a long explanation of how far away it is and how far it should be hidden behind the curve. And Metabunk came back and said, well, that's refraction. That's standard refraction. This go-to phrase that is absolute nonsense. And I look at the world differently. I know Mike looks at the world differently. I mean, he's doing a lot of research on titans, and we happen to live on a very big mountain here, which he believes is a titan elephant. That's another story. So just looking at the landscape, is we look at the world differently. Just looking at the horizon, seeing Ibiza 70 miles away, you know, your whole viewpoint changes. So yeah, absolutely, I look at the world differently.
You shouldn't be able to see something at 70. If it's is it a small island or a big island?
I would say maybe it's 100 miles across, something like that.
Right, not too big.
You got Menorca and Mallorca are certainly a little bit further off.
Okay.
So yeah, you shouldn't be able to see that. You certainly shouldn't. You know, you might be able to see a tiny tip of the mountain. I think we looked at the peak finder and found out how high it was. I can't remember how high now, but we can see the whole thing. You know, you shouldn't be able to see that. No way. But you know, I don't accept standard refraction as an answer.
Right. Things are being raised from behind the curve and into a flat landscape just because of refraction at the day. And it changes during the day as well. I mean, here we go to the beach and I see how different it is, how crisp the horizon would be some days and some days not at all. It just kind of melts in the sky, so completely different. How deep did you go into the NASA stuff?
Well, I mean, as deep as Iru goes into it. I mean, I listen to Iru every week on Globebusters, and he always has something new to present there. And he starts to go into the etymology of the people at the Catholic Church that started this whole scientism thing. So, I mean, as deep as Iru goes, that's about as deep as I know, because these are the guys. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here, so my learning all comes from people like Iru. And I think he's the main guy to talk to about, the NASA stuff and the occultism that's going on there. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty deep anyway, just the whole flat Earth and the whole NASA thing and their background, and their relationships with Disney and what's his name, JP Morgan. Oh, all of these guys. I mean, Iru rips it apart, He really goes into the symbolism, the occultism of NASA and their beginnings and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty deep. So, Iru's the man.
In the UK, how was it for you? Like today, was the space propaganda really strong?
If you take the channel BBC, which is, the main channel in the UK, their globe propaganda is on television many times a day. Every time you see the news, the globe flies in, or they used to when they started every program. Before every single program, they would have the globe rotating in front of you on a screen while the narrator says, "Oh, coming up next," you just have the globe rotating. Coming up next on BBC One, blah 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 blah. Then after that, we have the news with blah 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 blah. So you'll have the narrator talking about the programming for the evening with this globe just rotating and rotating and rotating, and they would do that before every single program. And of course, we had the other space propaganda as well, all the documentaries. I mean, I think the space propaganda is global, pardon the word. But yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So the programming is, it's all over the mainstream, isn't it? But yeah, we had no shortage of it in the UK, I can tell you that.
Do you think that this globe propaganda stuff, when they put that in the BBC, do you think it's by design or because they caught on to this wave from the 60s that they finally revealed the globe, supposedly with their space machines?
No, I don't know. I think it's all by design, isn't it? I mean... if you find out who's owning who runs the media, I mean, all of the mainstream media all over the world is you could trace it back to like two companies and probably one organization. So all of the media really is controlled by a bunch of guys in suits, really. I mean, there's that famous quote from Morrison, isn't it? That he who controls the media controls the mind. So I absolutely think it's orchestrated without a doubt.
So they must know it's flat.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I mean, NASA documents will say it's flat. So yeah, I think I don't know who at the very top knows. I don't know if presidents know. I don't know. As to who knows, I don't know.
It's interesting because that's the limit. We're getting at the limit of the whole thing, because beyond that, it's all speculation, and there's somebody who knows what's beyond this wall. Because we're only getting so far, you know what I'm saying? You can only prove, you're probably seeing all the new infrared photography as well. That's incredible. I mean, that's a globe killer in itself, the infrared stuff.
I mean, when we finally figure out how to put an infrared filter on a P1000, it's slightly more difficult with that camera because I think the sensor in it is a little bit more sensitive. But they're doing these, as you say, these infrared shots from aeroplanes. We're seeing 500 or up to even 1,000 miles. That's a globe killer right there. So you can see clearly it takes all of the distortion out of the way.
Yeah, it takes all the distortion out of the way. And things are way too far. I think he sees, there's one that he sees across the United States, like almost to the coast from the center. I don't know, it's like thousands of miles. Over 1,000 miles.
Many people are saying the reason it landed on the dark side of the moon is so that... because if you land on the moon today, we could probably zoom in with an infrared P1000 and see the craft. So they're now choosing to land on the dark side of the moon. Of course, no one can verify that.
And the kind of evidence that they show is hilarious. Like the animations from China.
It is ridiculous. I mean, they must be testing how stupid people are. I mean... that was the conversation we were having anyway. Who's at the top? Who knows? Oh,
it may be reconstructing the past and doing all these other things and find out that history was rewritten and so on. But when it comes to where we are, there is somebody who keeps it away from us and who knows. Somebody knows, really.
Somebody knows. I had that very conversation with my wife not only an hour ago. I said, someone must know where we are, what we're in, and what it all means. And I wouldn't be surprised if that information is in the Vatican Library or something like that. There must be somebody here that can explain what the hell's going on, but it's just being kept from humanity because it's the ultimate control, isn't it? If you keep the information from the masses, they're easier to control. But who knows that information and who has access to it? God only knows.
Were you a space believer, NASA believer? Did you like Star Wars and all that stuff? Did you buy all that stuff? Did you get into that?
I wasn't a massive Star Wars fan or Star Trek fan or anything like that. But, I used to be a fan of a program called The Sky at Night with Patrick Moore. And he always used to explain the different constellations. I know you always used to have a NASA representative there explaining what all these constellations were and what all these galaxies were and everything. And it was mind-blowing to me. And that's exactly what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to blow your mind, isn't it? You're not supposed to understand it. We're so insignificant. This is an ever-expanding universe, etc., blah, blah, blah. And it's just fantasy as far as I'm concerned now. I mean, it's science fiction. But, I was a space believer completely growing up. And always used to look up and think, oh, are there other aliens? There must be aliens up there. There must be other worlds and things. And, so I was definitely a victim of the alien propaganda as well, with all the movies and everything it's in. So, yeah, I was a true space believer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have it here because I might make a video on this book here. You've probably seen this book before.
The Alien Agenda. Yeah, Jim Mars. Yeah,
Jim Mars, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an interesting one, isn't he? Many would say he's controlled opposition.
Right. What do you think? So did you follow like David Wilcock and stuff? Those people?
I did for a while. Yeah.
Ancient alien stuff.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I used to absolutely love that. I used to think, I was being very open-minded by, watching those sort of documentaries or pieces on National Geographic or wherever it was, or Discovery Channel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and David Wilcock, and I was listening to his stuff because I thought that was truth. They were exposing, the alien agenda and, the government are covering it up, and I fell for all of that. Yeah. I'm a bit wiser now. So
now it's much crazier for people if you believe the flat earth than if you believe all this ancient alien shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's not so crazy, though, when you get into it, It's not so crazy. For me, it's normality. I think what's crazy is the globe spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, faster than a bullet, going around the sun at 66,600 miles. That's crazy to me. That's nonsense. So the flat earth is not crazy. It's real. It's what we experience every single day. That's beyond coincidence, isn't it? The 23.4 degree tilt leaving 66.6 degrees and, orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. And I think there's even 666 in the be 8 inches per mile squared. I don't think that's coincidence, you know.
Did you go through that kind of phase of tension in the beginning? Because you said like a little bit about having a bit of cognitive dissonance. So
you don't want to understand that everything you know is a lie. You, of course, want to believe that, you know, the world as it's presented is the world as it is, but it's not. So, you know, I wanted to believe that, you know, there were other galaxies out there and other life forms, and one day they were going to visit Earth, and, you know, it was going to be this huge thing, and, you know, and but in a way, flat Earth, you know, it didn't destroy my realities, it enhanced it. Because when you become a flat earther, you realize that we are the center of the universe, and there probably is a firmament. God exists, there is a creator, and all of a sudden you start to feel a little bit more special than the narrative that they want to force down your throat, which is you're an insignificant speck of dust in an ever-expanding universe. Although I believe that, coming to flat Earth didn't, like as I say, it didn't shatter that whole reality. It just made things better for me. It just made, okay, so, you know, the heavens revolve around us. We are important. This is created. The sun and moon are a lot closer than we've been told. God is a lot closer than we've been told. We're here for a reason. And I believe that reason is, you know, we're here to learn, we're here to discover, we're here to experience, and then move on to whatever's next. So, you know, all of a sudden, my paradigm has shifted dramatically, but in a good way. You know, now being, you know, I went from atheist to creationist, and that's a fantastic thing for me to now believe in God. You know, I certainly behave a lot better, and I've made a song about that, the way I behave now, becoming a flat earther, treating people with more respect, treating people how I want to be treated. You know, just being a better person, knowing there's a God. Before, when I was in that whole space paradigm of nothing matters, there is no God, you know, I was behaving like a child, you know, getting drunk all the time and taking drugs and womanizing and having no respect for anybody else and just doing my own thing. Do what thou wilt, you know, that kind of mantra. So, yeah, although Flat Earth did shatter my previous paradigm, the new one that I'm left with is far better.
For me, that's a jump I didn't make because I wasn't an atheist. I haven't ever been. I was always concerned about Darwinism and even evolution, not from a biblical perspective, just from a critical, theoretical perspective that I think is weak. Some theories that they're out there, and that I'm pretty sure you don't go with the flow of evolutionary theory and shit like that, right?
No, I used to. I mean, I used to watch all the documentaries on Darwin. You know, when Darwin had his birthday, he was been dead for 100 years or whatever, and they did a series of documentaries on the Discovery Channel, and you know, they went all into his background and everything, and I swallowed it. I thought, yeah, okay, well that must be how we got here then. But of course, Flat Earth shatters all that. So yeah, yeah, I don't believe that nonsense. And you've got to understand as well that Darwin is a Sir Charles Darwin. So as far as I'm concerned, he's part of the elite. He's part of the mind control. You know, anyone with a Sir, you should be very wary of as far as I'm concerned. So no, I don't subscribe to that, the Darwinism thing anymore.
I mean, people should have learned that after Jimmy Savile, right?
Well, there you go. Oh my God, yeah. Isn't it curious how so many Sirs are paedophiles? Isn't that a coincidence? And why do these paedophiles seem to have a close connection to the royal family? That's suspicious.
Yeah, that's right. How did you feel like finding out that the royal family was crooked, like as a British subject, so to speak? Because you grew up and probably you were bombarded with the propaganda from the state, right?
Oh yeah, we were completely bombarded. In fact, you know, we were all encouraged as a society to have street parties every time it was the Queen's Jubilee or, you know, her birthday. And, you know, it was just, you know, the programming of the royal families is just, it's constant, isn't it? You know, but so when you find out that they are quite, you know, quite an evil bunch, it doesn't surprise me anymore. You know, it really doesn't surprise me. I mean, the more you learn about, you know, all that crazy stuff that we were talking about, the paedophilia and the Satanism and the ritualistic stuff, and then you have these whistleblowers, you know, that are talking to David Icke and saying that they were part of these rituals, and the Queen Mum was there and the Queen was there and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's shocking information, but not a surprise to me anymore. You know, I look upon them now with disgust. But yeah, the programming was massive in the UK. You know, and everybody had to go to London and wave their little Union Jack flags as the Queen passed in a bulletproof car. You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, the propaganda on the royal family is huge. Yeah, it's huge mind control there on television when it comes to those guys.
When did you start being critical of it? Growing up as a teenager?
I always knew there was something wrong. I just couldn't understand. There was always this deep set thing. It's like that line from The Matrix when Morpheus says to Neo, "It's like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. You know there's something wrong with the world, but you just can't, you know, you can't place it. You know, you feel it when you go to church, when you go to school, when you pay your taxes. You know, it's something, you know something's wrong in the world." And I had that feeling all throughout my life. I just couldn't work out why life was so tough. Why, you know, in a world where we print our own money, why is everybody so broke? Nothing made sense. I just don't understand. Why can't they print more money? I was thinking. You know, and I said that to my brother, who's a mortgage broker, and he said, "Well, Alex, it's not as simple as that." I was like, yes, it is. You know, so I knew there was something wrong. It's just, I guess, when it came to, you know, waking up to 9/11 and all the other things you wake up to after that, it all fits into place. Right, there's evil in the world. Right, now I get it. You know, so yeah, I always knew there was something wrong. I guess I questioned it my entire life, but I think 9/11 was the key that. You know, that it was the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess, and that was my awakening from that point, and that was 2012. So yeah, 7 years ago.
So 2012, and then what kind of thing happened there? Did you go all the way into no planes? Was it controlled demolition first, or which stage are you in, like on the 9/11 stuff? Because I know professor who believes the mainstream narrative. I mean, still, there's people who are completely, and he thinks that people like the engineers for 9/11 and stuff, of the 9/11 truth, he thinks those people are completely crazy. He studies them as a kind of.
Oh, right. So what is he a professor in?
He's an anthropology guy, but I mean, anthropologists don't all see it eye to eye, right? It's very different.
Right.
But I met with him, and he came to my lecture on the Flat Earth stuff, and the idea is that for understanding the Flat Earth movement and people in the movement, you have to really make a case for their case. You know, what is their best case, and you have to put it out there and see if you can stop that. You know. And I looked at all the different conspiracies that are in a way part of people's, you know, coming into the Flat Earth. But, you know, they had no chance, no choice, because 9/11 is already coming from before. Anybody who lived through 9/11 is going to go and take a look into it, unless they're completely turned off in zombies, right? So, of course, everybody's going to have some sort of conspiracy background. Right,
yeah.
Looking into this stuff, because you're in the world and that stuff is just going on. It's just, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that people are in the Flat Earth because they're conspiracy theorists. I want to actually argue against that.
Yeah.
Because that appears in the Behind the Curve documentary. That's what they believe, and I think it doesn't have to, because you go to the beach with your camera and you make the observation, and that's it. It's not really much more.
Yeah,
than
but
that.
you have to have an open mind, don't you? I mean, you have to have the kind of mindset to break the programming, and not just, you know, the programming during your life, but the 500 years of programming that the world has had. So that's very difficult for people to get over. You can't just say to someone, go to the beach and watch a boat, and you can zoom it back in. It doesn't go over the horizon. They're not going to just forgo all of their programming. It's not that simple. It should be that simple. I wish it is.
Yeah.
Wish it was. But,
that's what I'm saying. In a wishy world, you know what I'm saying? That's what I meant.
Yeah.
That in an ideal logical world, when everything is logical, it doesn't have to be connected to any conspiracy. It is as simple as observation. It's not. It doesn't go to like the Mount Canigou, right? The Mount Canigou in France that they talk about, for instance. It's just as simple as that. You know, it's too far and you shouldn't be appearing, and it's game over. So it doesn't have to be a big conspiracy, but there is, once you try to find out how is it that people don't know and that they're finding out, then...
Yeah, in a perfect world, that would be great. Just use your eyes and use your senses and make observations, and we know it's flat. And I guess us flat earthers are doing that, and that's just another. It's just another globe killer, isn't it? And I wish it was. People could just shake off, all of their cognitive dissonance just like that. But unfortunately, we live in a world that is very controlled and very, very programmed, and it's just very, very difficult. But you do find that it is mostly open-minded people or creative people, I would say, not necessarily open-minded, but creative people that are understanding this. Because there is, people are caught in that, the left brain paradigm that David Icke talks about. Trapping people into the left brain paradigm where you're just getting a bunch of robots to repeat and regurgitate information, which is what our schooling system is. They're not teaching you how to use your mind and be critical of information. They're just, you put a sheet in front of you, repeat, regurgitate, and that's how you do well in exams.
That's right.
So many.
But that's that's much more so in the sciences, right? In university, I took an anthropology degree, and I took many classes, and there's only the classes with a lot of people, and even those. I didn't get tests. They were like multiple choice. And in most of them, by the vast majority, I never got multiple choice. But in the sciences, and I had to take astronomy as a science credit for my degree. And then it was a complete different world where it's all about regurgitation and repeating. In the anthropology, you need to understand some material, some of the stuff that people are talking about. What is the culture, and say, for instance, that they're talking about, and some of their ideas. But you're supposed to have your own idea, and you're supposed to be critical of what you're reading as well. If you're able to summarize some stuff, make an analysis, be critical, and have your own opinion, then you're getting an A. It's like you engage the material, you talk about it, you don't misrepresent it, and you have a critical take, and you come up with your own idea. That's ideal for us. So it's completely different than, repeat this, what's this calculation, and what's this formula? That it's not even part of the deal. So I've complained to some of my friends who are flat earthers that sometimes they talk about people with PhDs in a very general way, that they think they're all brainwashed, but things are not that simple in the world of academia, if you will.
Yeah.
Even if you're not going to become an academic, if you're just getting a degree, it's really makes a huge difference which degree you're getting and who you're taking it from. And
I understand.
It's a much more personal deal.
Yeah. But as you say, it's very prominent in the sciences, isn't it? Repeat after me. The sun is 93 million miles away. Don't question it. It's already been established, and that's it. Just regurgitate that at the end of the session, and you'll get a grade. Yeah,
what happens is that they forget to go back to their base foundations. They think that their foundations are solid. There's a fear that once you go back to a foundation, you realize it's not solid, that everything else is going to crumble. But it shouldn't really be like that. It should really be self-organized. So when you cut off this branch that is putrid, you get some good new growth instead of, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got a lot to lose as well, haven't they? The whole thing comes crumbling down. All the ologies disappear, don't they?
If you're going to be somebody who's going to call themselves a scientist of any kind, anthropologist or sociologist or whatever that you get, you're just going to be talking about a subject. You're just going to be tackling some stuff that's going on. And it's usually writing and talking about it. And a lot of times is disconnected from the world. But in terms of anthropology, we get people that go all over the world and look into different kinds of phenomena. So it's quite interesting because we're not ignoring people who are not Western.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that the flat earth is still catching up into yet. They haven't yet caught up to just the richness of Aboriginal peoples in general and how it has a lot to do with the flat earth. Because I see the flat earth as a emerging ancient cosmology kind of reimagined. It's teaching us how to think in a different way that was already there before.
Well, I think things happen in cycles, don't they? There's nothing new under the sun, and I think we're going through that cycle again, where we're having a resurgence, I guess, of the flat Earth, because it's what all ancient cultures thought and believed and knew. And then, of course, we have this, this negative period where we're all brainwashed into the globe indoctrination, and now we're all waking up again. There's something very spiritual about that, and it's happening all over again. And, maybe there will be a time, in a few thousand years where they will look back on our time and say, I can't believe they thought it was flat.
Right.
Saying we were these crazy people, they thought the earth was flat. We're having an awakening. But, I think it goes around in cycles. There's something to be said about the ancient cultures and how we're having this revival, as you say. But it's clearly happening.
The people who recognize your music, for example, how does it, if you give a few examples of how it made them, sped up or got them connected to the subject in more detail? Because your stories they tell, it's not just the lyrics that's repeating itself. It goes into detail. Yeah.
It goes in. I mean, I can only go on what other people have told me and what I experienced at the conference, and the kind of Facebook messages I get, the kind of emails I get that say, thank you so much for the music. It helped me remove my cognitive dissonance. I have comments on my channel that say, just because of this one song, I now don't believe we went to the moon. You put so much information in there. Thank you. Mothers hugging me saying, I use your music to educate my children. This is what people are telling me. And I do go into a lot of detail. So, music can touch people like that. So, it's definitely having an effect. There's quite a lot of information in there. And, it is, as I say, I can only go on what people have told me. And they tell me that, in many instances that it helped them wake up, and they're not only, help them to wake up, but they are now using the album as a tool to wake other people up, or at least sow the seed. That's all it has to do. Once the seed is sowed, you can just sit back and watch it blossom, watch it bloom, and watch it grow. And, if my music can just do that, just at least get you questioning the mainstream narrative, then great. Or if it's not your time and if you're not ready, then you will just hear a collection of catchy songs. And that's it. And that's okay. I'm okay with that, because some people are just not ready. It's not their time. So people will get it on many different levels. But from the people that I've met in the community, it's certainly having an impact in helping waking people up.
Have you written a song about how and why did they do it?
How and why? Well, I hint at it through different lyrics in different songs. For instance, I can't think of the song now. There's a bunch of lyrics that I use, saying,
if they can get you to believe that you're on a spinning ball, or things like God and creation just make no sense at all. A lot exploded from nothing, right, with their theory of Big Bang. It's true satanic mind control from the Freemasonic gang.
So just in those lyrics, it talks to you about putting you on a spinning ball, creation makes no sense at all, satanic mind control from the Freemasons. I could wrap that up into 4 lines. And there's other, instances of that in some of my other songs as well.
You see, it's only Freemasons that get to go to space. They're the evil bastards who are lying to your face.
So I always put those little gems in there to sow some seeds. So, but an entire song on why they do it, one of my songs finishes with,
NASA's really evil, man. The whole thing is such a fraud. The only reason they exist is to hide a loving God.
So there's lots of little pointers there as to why in the songs. I think you just got to listen to them.
Yeah, because one of the mysteries that we don't know, we can kind of infer, but we don't know very well, is how they do it with people, how they get the people to lie, because we know they're lying. So how is it that they don't get caught, and what is the process? So I think that's interesting. I mean, we know from the MKULTRA stuff that some.
Well, yeah, there's certainly MKULTRA. I mean, certain personality traits. I mean, if you're applying to be an astronaut, you've got to have those kind of psychopathic traits, I would guess. Lying to the world is not a problem to you. Somebody that is void of any empathy would be a great candidate for an astronaut. We're told that 1 in 8,000 make it to be an astronaut, but I'm sure the process is quite, there's quite a psychological analysation of these people to find out what their kind of psychological traits are. And maybe they are MKUltra, or they're ex-military, most of them.
Right.
So I think, lying to the world is not a problem. Presidents pepper bomb children in Iraq. It's not a problem for them. So telling lies into a TV camera, it's not a problem for these type of people. I think we're dealing with psychopaths, and your typical psychopath will not have any empathy or any sympathy for their victims. I mean, I think that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an elite group of psychopaths.
How do you think, like, people like David Icke, they haven't reacted to Flat Earth, right? And
you know what?
They can't.
Exactly. I used to love David Icke. I would watch many of his presentations and his seminars that he did, and I had his DVDs. I used to love him. But the fact that he's not touching Flat Earth is a huge red flag to me. Why is he not addressing it? It really stinks of controlled opposition or a gatekeeper. He's willing to go so far with the truth information, and who knows, it might not even be the truth what he's saying now. I'm very suspicious of him now, that the fact that he's not even addressing.
Right.
So very suspicious. So I think I mean, David Icke is very famous for his reptilian research, isn't it? And I resonate with a lot of that. I mean, we do have a reptilian part of the brain, for instance, so there's something to that maybe. But yeah, it is very, I mean, he's willing to go very deep in his presentations, and I resonate with a lot of it. But why is he not touching globe programming? Why are you banned from his forum for even bringing it up?
Is that what happens?
So, yeah, well, Eric Dubé went in there and started posting a bunch of stuff, and he got kicked out. He's just simply not addressing it. And for a guy that's supposed to be all about truth, why is he not touching this subject? Because I don't know, that just stinks of controlled opposition to me.
Got too big, maybe, and cozy now. Doesn't want to step out of bounds or something.
Again, yeah, like I said before, it's a career killer, isn't it? He's already got a massive following, and he's probably quite comfortable with his life. And I guess if he comes out with something as crazy as Flat Earth, he could lose, a huge section of his audience. But in the same time, I think he would gain a huge audience by talking about this and wake a whole lot more people up to it.
That's right.
But he's not doing it. He's not touching it. So what's going on there?
Yeah, Rob Skiba told me that when he first came out of Flat Earth, he lost all his sales from his book.
Wow.
That was the book that he was known for. And people stopped buying all his stuff. He almost went on the street, but then started rebounding.
Yeah, and he's definitely doing that now. I mean, he's very well respected in the community, particularly the Christian community. He's very well respected, and I think he's a best-selling author now. And he's so he's certainly bounced back. He's got a big channel, and he's doing all the conferences, and he's selling a lot of material there. Best-selling author, and award-winning filmmaker as well. So he's certainly bounced back. So it's kind of like what I said before. Once you wake up to this stuff, you lose a bunch of friends, and you lose your old life, if you like, but you attract a new life and new friends, and that's the beautiful thing about it.
So what's next for you?
I don't know. It's going to involve music. I know that because that's all I know how to do, really. I mean, I'm not the best guitarist in the world. I'm more of a rhythm guitarist, and I can strum out a few chords. I've got very good ears. I know when something sounds good. I'm good at I can play a bit of piano and bass. I play all of these, and a bit of harmonica and a little bit of drums, and I can play all of these things up to an okay standard. But when you put all of those instruments together, and I'm good at harmonies and singing and that kind of thing, and once you're okay at all of these things and you understand what I understand, you can then create something, really cool musically. I don't get too much into the software of it all. I just, if you listen to my songs, it's guitar, organ, piano, bit of drums, singing and harmonies. It's very, very basic music. It works. If it worked in the 60s, why wouldn't it work now? So my music is pretty basic, but so whatever I continue to do, it's going to be music, and I will just get better at the guitar. I'll get better at producing. I'll become a better pianist. I'll become a better producer. So I think whatever's next is definitely going to involve music. What style of music, I don't know. I would have never said in a million years I'll be making a country album. I used to hate country music. Used to absolutely hate it. My wife loved it and was always playing it. I was like, oh, turn that shit off. I hate it. But when I created this character, it just, I made a country album, and now I really like country music. Isn't that strange? The next album could be blues, and it could be funk. I don't know. We'll just see what comes out. But whatever I do, it will be music. I do have one idea, though, funny enough, which isn't music related. The Flat Earth Man character, I would really like to turn it into, and all the songs, I would like to make a series of animations for children. Mm-hmm. Like this truth-telling cowboy with his trusty sidekick dog, Flat Eddie the dog, and he goes on a little adventure, and and the anime, it's like a kid's cartoon. That's what I want to make. But I don't know any other animators, and I would like each episode to finish with one of my songs, so I could start introducing this kind of information to children, because that's how the elite do it. That's how they brainwash the children. There's a globe in every class. The ISS are always doing live streams to schools and all that kind of thing. So, I'd like to sort of, join them with that sort of philosophy, really, and get my music in front of more children by creating some cartoons or animations. I don't know. That's just an idea. I'd love to do something like that.
There's something called Character Animator, which is like it is an Adobe program, though, but it makes really easy for you to animate your own characters. Like, basically follows your face and your facial movements, reflects on the puppets that you make. You can make them in Photoshop, and they just move. They can dance. They can do anything. It's very advanced and easy to use. I don't have it because I don't like paying money to every month for. But if you're making a production like that, if you have a plan, if I had a plan to do a animation thing like this, and we did a bunch of puppets. It's easy to make. You make them with layers, and you can figure that out.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Well, that's I might when I if I get to the point where I'm ready to do something like that, I'll probably put a call out on Facebook or on my YouTube channel, and I'll probably find someone that can do that for me. I mean, that's kind of software probably comes with quite a huge learning curve, but it's not to say that I couldn't do it myself.
It's not that hard. It's like it's the different parts they're gonna move in different layers, and you can even use photographs by cropping them.
Wow. What's it called again? What's it called? Character animation?
Character animator.
Animator. Right, I'll look that up.
Adobe. Look that up. What it can do. It's crazy. You can, if you have a hat, you can press buttons to make the hat come off, and things pop out of the hat, explode out of the hat. It's super full of features, but it is not that hard. It has similarities with music programs, because you're dealing with a timeline that you're going to animate, and your layers are going to be moving, but it's kind of like an audio program.
Okay, I like the sound of it. Yeah, that would be really cool to do something like that, to get stuck. Whatever I do next is going to be something creative, without a doubt. I
wanted to actually. I had an idea for a kind of space park, like South Park, but focus on space. And you would have, Brian Cox would be one of the. I made a puppet Brian Cox that had NASA tattooed on his chest and wearing diapers and shit. But I wanted to make a kind of, if you get all these guys together, Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Brian Cox, all together, it's a sort of South Park-ish, kind of shitty kind of animation thing, but you put all the voices and make it really, you can make some really funny stuff in.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. I think, on doing it kind of South Park. I mean, adult humor. It worked for South Park, didn't it? I mean, that's hilarious. If you could do that. And that would be Space Park. That would be hilarious. Yeah, that's what we need. We need more entertainment like that. We definitely need more of that stuff. We need a lot more creativity in Flat Earth. There is it's really lacking in creativity, I think, at the moment. I think purely because of the numbers. There's just not enough of us. But I would love to see more creative stuff like that. I'd love to see more music coming out in the Flat Earth community. It's very interesting watching it all unfold. I'm actually working on a project with a guy at the moment. I can't really say too much about it, but it's very similar to what you said. We're having me in it, Flat Earth Man. There's going to be somebody who's playing the part of Brian Cox, another guy who's playing the part of Neil deGrasse Tyson, all dressing up in, you know, and we're all having like a rap battle. We're all doing our little pieces, and we're sort of playing off one of another. So it's like a rap song we're all working on at the moment. That should be out, I don't know, maybe in a month or so.
Yeah, the Epic Rap Battles channel has like 30 million subscribers or something crazy like that.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Epic history, rap history battles. You know what I'm talking about? Like, they have like Newton against Bill Nye. Bill Nye against Newton, I think.
I haven't seen that, no.
They don't have anything on Neil deGrasse Tyson, but they have Bill Nye and Newton. I know because I'm making a video about Newton, and I'm probably gonna have a little bit of that in it just for fun.
Oh, you'll have to send me a link. I'd love to see that.
It's the epic rap battles, epic history. You've never seen this before.
I've heard of the rap battles, but I thought you were just talking about, you know, mainstream rap artists going against each other.
No. It's like a YouTube channel that they make characters. It's like theater almost. Like they pretend to be, one guy pretends to be Bill Nye and the other one pretends to be Newton, dressing up like Newton and shit. And they make some sort of animations and they attack each other. They diss each other.
Oh, I've got to see that. No, I haven't seen that. No, brilliant. Yeah, you have to send me a link if you can find it. Awesome.
So you're going to the conference this year?
The one in America now, I don't think so. These things cost me a huge amount of money. It's not like I get paid to go or anything, you know. The last one cost me thousands. You know, and I had terrible jet lag when I was there. I had altitude sickness while I was there because it's Denver. It's the mile-high city.
Right.
And it was really stressful, very, very stressful. So, and very costly as well. But I get emails, oh, come to New Zealand, come to Germany, come to Italy, another one today. If I had a money tree, you know, I would. And if there was no such thing as jet lag. But yeah, these things cost a ridiculous amount of money to just fly to America and stay in a hotel and, you know, go and play my guitar. You know, it's not like I've got a manager. It's not like I'm making any money. You know, there's no money in Flat Earth. So, oh, cheers, thanks for that. Yeah, so no, I probably won't be going to that. I don't know. I can't see me going to that. My wife doesn't want to go to anymore. She was absolutely exhausted with the last one, and she said it's costing you too much money, and it is. If my album sales come through, which they're coming through in a couple of weeks, and if they're, you know, really good, and I make a lot of money on that, maybe. But I don't know. I've just got a terrible feeling this album's being suppressed in some kind of way. That's another story. But I'll find out in a couple of weeks the sales figures on that, and then I can sort of
Did it hit really high on Spotify?
It's high on Spotify. Oh, I don't watch Spotify, so what do you mean it's high?
Your music has been listened to like a lot. It's like it's under the top at Spotify or something like that. Some people are saying, or is it that just not true at all?
Well, I don't monitor Spotify. I don't have a Spotify. I don't know. I guess I'll have to make an account.
Oh, you're not in Spotify.
Well, my music's on Spotify, but I don't monitor the streams. Well, right. I can't at the moment until a couple of weeks' time when I get all the data from how much it's been streamed.
Right. If you go on Spotify and put your name on it, it's going to tell you how many people are listening to you from Spotify. When you find your album, you click on your name there, and it's going to show up on top of your name how many people have been listening to it.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I'll download. What have I got here?
Sometimes it tells you which countries they're from as well.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can only hope, can't I? I mean, my album got to number, when I released the album, it got to number 5 in the country charts on iTunes in the UK only. Now, the UK is not a massive country music consumer. If I'd have got to number 5 in the American charts, then I would be, I'd be doing quite well financially. So I don't know. I get all the sales figures in a couple of weeks. I don't know if 50 people have bought the album, if it's 500 or if it's 5,000 or what, I just don't know. I guess when I get the figures through it, if it's done well, then I can, just look at my finances and go, you know what, we can afford to go to the conference in Dallas this year, or whatever. But it's all about the money, isn't it? At the end of the day, I can't keep spending $5,000, $6,000 a year to go into conferences. It's just I can't do it. It's simple as that. As much as I'd like to go, but unfortunately, they're going to have to pay me if they want me to go there and perform. I mean, is that so crazy to ask for that?
No, I mean, they should. They should, of course.
Of course they should, but at the moment it's costing me an absolute fortune, and I can just only hope that the album does well. I hope so. I'm doing my best to promote it. I don't really know what else I can do, but we'll see what happens with that. But I will certainly be looking at Spotify when I finish this conversation. What
else would you like to share?
Oh, I think we've covered it all, haven't we? I guess I would just say watch this space and, keep an eye on my channel, Conspiracy Music Guru. There's always, well, I wouldn't say always, when I do something creative, I try and upload it. The Barcelona thing will be going on there shortly. Yeah, and when I finish making this collaboration with this other guy with all these different characters, that'll be going on there soon as well. So I'm in the middle of working on that. And, I guess, the more I understand, the more I'll create, really. That's how it goes, really. When I get an emotive response to something I've learned, I'll put it into music. So I guess that's my job. That's my place in this world.
Did you think in the beginning that this thing was going to bomb? I mean, that the Flat Earth is not going to take off? Do you have that doubt? Or does it surprise you to see how it seems to only go up and not down?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. I never expected it to go down because there's that saying, isn't it? Once you go flat, you don't go back. I think there might have been one or two instances where someone's gone back to the globe, but I honestly think that they might have been persuaded to go back to the globe or paid off or that kind of thing. But it doesn't surprise me. But the analytics, I mean, if you just look at the Google analytics, you just see nothing but this, this graph that goes up and up and up, and the truth will out. And I think what we're looking at here is just a general awakening. Call it a spiritual awakening or whatever. And I don't think that's the sort of thing that goes away. So it doesn't worry me that that it's going to do a U-turn, a flip reverse. It's just not going to happen. This is what we're seeing is an awakening, and those sort of things don't just stop.
Did you when you came into the Flat Earth, that you stopped being an atheist? You didn't become religious in a traditional sense, right?
No, and I'm still not. I do believe in a creator. What that is, I don't know. But what I do see is intelligent design. That's what I see. But I've not subscribed to any religion at all. I do see religion as another control mechanism. That's where I am with it. I mean, never say never. I mean, in 5 years' time, who's to say? I might become Christian. I don't know. I just, at the moment, I just don't feel any of that's for me. I'm just trying to make sense of it all, really, without having to subscribe to any particular doctrine. Is how I am at the moment. I can be a flat earther and I can be non-religious, and at least I understand there's a creator now, and that's an enormous leap for me to make.
And one day you're not going to turn around and go back being an atheist.
No, that's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
No, there's too much I've learned. There's too much I've learned to put it down to all random chance and coincidence. Now, so no way.
Right. And how was it? Was Spain any different from the States and the vibe of the people? Was it similar or was it different? Because it was much smaller in Spain, but it was bustling.
No, the vibe was very, very similar, just smaller. I mean, I didn't expect the Spanish community to know me and to know my music and to know my image and my songs. But sure enough, when I went there, a bunch of people wanted their photograph taken with me. A few people came up and cuddled me. A woman came up and she put her arm around me and wanted to. So it was the same vibe as Denver, just smaller, and the vibe was fantastic. The people that were there were just fantastic. You just look around and you could just tell, that these are people that have distanced themselves from the mainstream and from society. You won't find many suits and ties at a Flat Earth convention. And I love that, So the vibe was in Spain, in Barcelona, was very similar to Denver. Just they didn't speak my language. That's all.
Did you ever have that kind of pressure to join the kind of art business and stuff, like growing up from your family? Like, it's common, you know, your parents wanted you to be a doctor or a lawyer or something, and
No, not really. No, I mean, I don't have a great upbringing. You know, my family were not exactly supportive and encouraging of me. They kind of sort of let me go on and do what I wanted to do. And I hated working, you know, for other people. I hated getting up to an alarm clock and going into a factory and being told what to do and being told when I can eat and being told what time I could go for a piss and things like that. I hated it. It seemed like slavery to me. And that's exactly what it was. And I was always destined to go and do my own thing because that was just like hell to me. So I always wanted to make my own money and become self-employed and do something musical. So I did that, you know, even if it was just gigging in the pubs and playing in bands or being a DJ. I was a professional DJ for about 10 years, and I was a karaoke compere as well. I was going around the pubs and doing karaoke's and things like that. But at least I wasn't working for somebody else. At least I was doing it myself, you know, and it was a great social time. And that's how I met my wife, actually, doing that. So, no, I mean, my brother is very much a suit and tie wearer. He's a mortgage broker, and he does the 2-hour commute to work every day and works for 10 hours and then comes home and barely sees his family and drinks a glass of wine and then goes to bed and does it all over again. That life is not for me. I could never do that. So I think I'm amongst friends in the flat earth community because they're very, very similar. You know, they're all creative people. They all, you know, most of them work for themselves, or they, you know, you certainly wouldn't. You don't find many 9-to-5ers in the flat earth community, I think. So yeah, I'm definitely surrounding myself with the right people that think like me.
And you became more self-sufficient, I guess, after the ringtone business.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I mean, I started making ringtones. We soon figured out that we could make a living from making ringtones, particularly as we sell them on the iPhone. You know, and you can be anywhere in the world and purchase one of my ringtones. And I was making little jingles in the studio and selling them as ringtones. And, you know, we started looking at the sales figures and we thought, well, this is doing quite well. We can make some money here. And so we set up a little business, and that is my bread and butter, the ringtones. And it is a mobile business. I can run it from anywhere in the world. All I need is a Mac, a couple of speakers, a little MIDI keyboard and a microphone and some ability. And if I wanted to go to Italy tomorrow and move out, I could, you know. I'm not selling a physical product. I don't need postage and packaging or a warehouse to store my product in. I just make music and sell it digitally online. It's a beautiful business. And yeah, that's my bread and butter. And
when did you start?
I started the ringtones around 2012, 2013, around that time, yeah. It was actually one of my employees that, because I employed a couple of music producers to make some content for me. And one of them came into the studio one day and he said, "Have you seen this video about 9/11?" And he showed me the video of the missile hitting the Pentagon, or it looks like a missile. It's only a few frames. And he was saying, yeah, it doesn't look like a plane. And, you know, there should be like 200 cameras around the Pentagon. It's, you know, and he really got me thinking, and it was him who really is responsible for my whole journey, I think, because that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was like, oh my God, that's when I started looking into 9/11, and here I am 7 years later as a flat earther. So yeah, so maybe ringtones has got something to do with that. I don't know, but yeah, ringtones is a good living for me. It allows me to do what I want when I want. Which is what I always wanted. I wanted to make a living from making music. It wouldn't have mattered if I was playing at a pub or making ringtones or doing radio jingles, or as long as it was music and I was, you know, and I didn't have a boss. That's all I wanted.
Right.
I didn't want people telling me what to do. So, and I think that's what I'll always do.
And what do you think of the tension inside the community? So the Christians, for instance, and they're not Christians. Some people take the dinosaur pill and some people don't. There's some divisions and differences. So how do you navigate?
I don't get involved. Simple answer to that. I do not get involved. I know it's happening and there's a lot of division. I mean, I see it on Facebook as well. I see it everywhere. I see it in the comments section of YouTube, and I just don't get involved. that's the worst thing you can do, is get involved. I'm more of an observer. You know, I just stay out of it. I stay out of the arguing and the different camps. You're a Christian flat earther, you're this flat earther, you're a Jesus never existed flat earther, you're a dinosaurs never existed flat earther. You know, I see it all, but and I watch it all with interest. You know, and I just cherry pick the things that resonate with me, and I make my own. I build my own reality from it. It's a real shame that there's such division in this community, but at the same time, at least we all have one understanding. We can have differences about this subject, and we can have this, but we all know that we're not on a spinning ball flying through space. That's the one thing we all have in common. We can argue about the dinosaurs or Jesus or all these other things, right, as long as you like, but we all know one thing: we're not on a spinning ball flying through space.
Do you think some people are never going to turn around and see, or do you think things are going to get better from here, that more people are going to start seeing this, or do you think it's always going to be a fringe kind of movement?
Yeah, that's a tough one to answer. On one hand, you know, there's been polls done, isn't there, that they say that 2% of millennials in the United States, or 2% of the United States, now don't believe or believe the flat Earth. And if you work out what 2% is of the, you know, hundreds of millions of people that are in the States, you know, you're talking like a few million people just in the United States. So there are millions of us, millions and millions and millions of us, and it's growing, with good reason. So I don't think it's going to go away, but on the other hand, it could end up as a fringe, because how many people now know that 9/11 was a lie, the mainstream narrative of that is a complete joke? Like 70%, 80% of people now know that that's absolute nonsense, but that still remains in a corner of the internet labeled as a conspiracy theory. That's never going to reach the mainstream. The truth of that event is never going to reach the mainstream. So even though that was coming up to 20 years, 18 years ago, that event was, and most people know that it was, you know, that it was all lies and it was an inside job, it still remains a conspiracy theory. So the more people that wake up to flat Earth is great, and it's happening, but my worry and my fear is that it will just be contained to a corner of the internet labeled as a conspiracy theory, as long as the elite are controlling the narrative, and they seem to do that very well, because as I said before, he who controls the media controls the mind. As long as the powers that be control the media, they will be controlling 80–90% of the minds of the masses.
But so doesn't that mean that they might be controlling flat Earth as well?
Yeah, that's another one. I mean, quite possibly. You know, a lot of people talk about it as a controlled rollout. I don't know the answer to that. I mean,
they've always been around. I mean, there's always been flat Earthers. I mean, not just recently.
The elite know that this truth is going to come out at some point. They know that it's inevitable, that this awakening is happening. So maybe they're using us or allowing us to talk about it so that we become the people that are waking the world up. And then all of a sudden they're not responsible. I don't know. They're removing themselves from the subject. I don't know whether it's a controlled rollout or not.
If the thing is tipped towards, you know, people realizing that NASA is lying, what are they going to do, you know? ISS and all those guys, all those astronauts, the history books have to be rewritten. All this stuff is going to have to happen. And it's
everything has to change.
Quite a hit.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why you've got Elon Musk now. Maybe he's the fall guy. I don't know. But yeah, everything would change, wouldn't it? Everything would change. It's just, I can't see. I would love to see it become mainstream. I would love to see everybody waking up, and the numbers prove that it's growing every day. You know, I hope I'm alive to see a mass awakening. I really do. But what we need is a revolution. What we need is a revelation of the mind, I think. I don't know. What we need is people to disassociate themselves from the system, and then the system will collapse, and then we'll see change. I think if we, you know, stop slaving ourselves to the elite, stop following these rules, stop complying. You know, we should have non-compliance days where everybody just stops working, stops paying their taxes, stops doing everything, and scare the shit out of the system. You know, that would be a good idea. But I think while everybody is fast asleep, watching the television, drinking their Coca-Cola and drinking their fluoridated water, we haven't got a chance. I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that they have no idea what's going on. So, yeah, we'll see if we can.
No idea at all.
We'll see what happens. Certainly some exciting moments ahead, especially this year. I think it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, well, I think there's 9 flat Earth conferences this year that I know of.
Wow.
So yeah, so there's going to be some interest. I think we're very lucky to be alive in this particular time. It's certainly a very interesting time to be alive. The world seems to be changing massively. Look what's happening in Paris. Look what's happening there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the next 10 years. It's going to be. It's very, very interesting to watch it all unfold. And I'll just start making music about it. That's all. I'm just an observer.
Yeah, you have a lot of subjects to cover, man. So you better get busy, dude, because I want to hear some of this new stuff as well. If people give you a bunch of subjects, you should follow up on some. It's a good sign.
Yeah, well, there's too many. As I said, I get so many emails, cover this, cover that, and I have to choose my subjects quite carefully because it takes 2 or 3 months to make a song and a video. So I can't just, jump into the studio for a couple of days and have another video done. It takes, my last one, Space is Fake, took me 3 months, and that was working on it every day. So, it has to be a subject fairly close to my heart. Antarctica, as I said, it's definitely a song I want to make, a subject I want to make a song about, because there's something very, very strange in Antarctica. Yeah. There's something being up. There's something very suspicious going on there.
Yeah, I've always thought, even before the Flat Earth came around, I knew something was fishy about Antarctica.
Yeah.
But now I think that some of the coastlines are probably even fake, drawn out. I don't even know. I wouldn't believe it, that it has the shape it has in their map. That's one of the problems, that we need some sort of revolution to really find out those things, or some massive whistleblowing, or
massive whistle. But we need a millionaire. We need a millionaire or millionaires. We need a bunch of millionaires with big balls. That's what we need. Someone who's prepared to take their own plane and fly across Antarctica and really willing to risk their life. Or like you say, whistleblowers would be good, but the whistleblowers, they don't tend to stick around for very long. They seem to have accidents. They seem to shoot themselves in the head, twice.
That's right. And it's also interesting what it does to the whole alien narrative, because if that's all fake as well, you get a perfect case of not only controlled opposition, but a complete, psyop that has all these characters like Stephen Greer and a bunch of other people that are part of it.
Well, here's the other thing. I mean, when you start looking at Martin Kenny's work, and I know that you've spoken to Martin Kenny.
Truth does not belong to one race or culture or religion or people or book. That's just insane to even fathom that idea, that truth only belongs in one box. This is the box of truth. Here it is. That's madness. That's madness. That's the most ignorant thing I can ever imagine.
He's the guy that talks about outer lands beyond Antarctica. Think of an ever-increasing circle. Mm-hmm. Now, he talks about the extraterrestrials. I mean, if you look at the word extraterrestrial, it means extra land, extra terra. So maybe these aliens or demons or whatever they are, or these low-frequency beings, are coming from these outer lands, which are much further away from the magnetic north. And the more denser it is, the more you get away from that magnetic north. The further outside the plate you go, the more dense it is, the lower frequency beings are, So he talks about that theory of these extraterrestrials coming from outer space. When NASA is talking about going to outer space, they don't mean going up, they mean going out. So the space that's out beyond Antarctica, where there are probably more land masses. Admiral Byrd spoke about a land mass, the size of Middle America, that was, unseen and untouched by humans, and he came back and revealed that in an interview. So what's beyond Antarctica? Are there these other beings coming from these outer lands? So maybe what these people like Greer and Mars that you're talking about, they're not particularly lying to us, but they're just distorting the truth. It's the truth in plain sight. There are other beings but they're just not coming from up there because we can't go up there, but we might be able to go out.
Yeah, and if they can, somebody probably has already, because that's how it works with the government, right? Many of them go to Antarctica for whatever reason. All these dignitaries, Obama and the Pope, and all these guys go there.
Go. Even Buzz Aldrin was there recently.
Right.
You know? So, yeah. I'd love to know what's there. I would love to be a fly on the wall. I wish I could astral project and go and take a look.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens in the next months. Who knows?
Yeah.
But dude, awesome talking to you. I'm gonna go eat something here, let you go, and a pleasure to meet you at the conference and hang out and talk about a bunch of stuff. And if you want some help with anything at any time, let me know, and we may collaborate on something. I recorded an album in Shetland actually with a metal band called Spoothawk.
Right.
And that was pretty cool. It sounds good. It was 2012, 13.
Oh, quite recent.
2013, yeah, 2014. Yeah, when it came out, but that was fun as well. But I usually play jazz stuff in Brazilian music, but anything.
Yeah.
We do.
Well, I saw some of your music with your partner, with your girlfriend,
right.
With her playing the flute and you playing the clarinet. Man, you got some skills there, man.
Thanks, man. No, yeah, just that Brazilian stuff is like that. There's lots of rhythm and lots of notes. She has to play all that. Those melodies are tough. I try to learn. But I'm much slower. I read as well a little bit, but not like her. She can rip it.
Yeah, she's got some talent there, man. Well, you both have. It sounded fantastic anyway. So, yeah, props to that, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, maybe we'll play sometime, some stuff together. That would be fun.
Yeah,
it's one of these future conferences.
Yeah, you never know, huh? You never know.
Because I even played with Ito this time. Like they were in the apartment where he was. They had a guitar and stuff, and we played. It was funny stuff.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, because Iro plays a bit of guitar, right?
Yeah, a little bit. He's learning. But
yeah, you never know, man. I appreciate it. Likewise, it was nice meeting you. I've enjoyed the chat, and I'm sure we'll be in contact in the future, man.
Awesome, Alex. See you soon, dude. Cheers. Ciao, ciao.
To the satellite hoax. All right, let's do this. Hard pill to take when somebody says that satellites could be fake. But don't you find it a little suspicious that you can't find any real satellite pictures? It might be hard to be believed, but maybe we're out being deceived. Yeah, maybe, Listen up. Well, if you think you've seen one up in the sky, you can't see it with the naked eye. A satellite is about the size of a car, at least 300 miles away. You can't see that far. Whatever those dots are to move in the night, I'm telling you there ain't no satellite. Welcome to the satellite folks. Just another one of them NASA jokes. You can't buy me a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space, type that phrase into Google, folks. Let me welcome you to the satellite hoax. Now, before all of y'all start getting pissed, I ain't saying that satellites don't exist. I'm saying that it's theoretically absurd to think these devices orbit the Earth. Cause I've seen them hanging from big balloons. Even Google's doing it too now, man. Have you seen that? Yeah, go check out Project Moon. And every now and then a satellite crashes, but that information never gets to the masses, cause then you'll find out how these things really work. They're just on balloons, man, they don't orbit the Earth. Cause once upon a time, one crashed in Brazil with the balloon attached to its steel. Welcome to the satellite, folks. Just another one of them NASA jokes. You give a 5E a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space. Yeah, type that phrase into Google, folks. But let me welcome you to the satellite, folks. Yeah, check it out, man. How could satellites be in the thermosphere when the temperature up there is way too severe? How can that type of equipment survive? How comes those satellites aren't burned alive? I'm telling you, man, it's just a pack of lies. There ain't no orbiting satellites, because 99% of our communication comes from undersea cables and cell tower stations. A GPS is ground-based too, man. Go check out a system called LORAN. It's a military system for navigation that uses ground towers to track your location. Are you seeing it yet? Welcome to the satellite, folks. Just another one of them NASA jokes. You give a 5E a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space. Yeah, type that phrase into Google, folks. But let me welcome you to the satellite, folks. You see, Tesla figured out how to communicate without the need for satellites in space. It's mostly ground-based towers, you see, and that's how you get your satellite TV. They've monetized what Tesla made for free with their fake satellite industry. It was Arthur C. Clarke that theorized these things, the sci-fi boxes with solar wings. Another Freemason, it's no surprise. They make science fiction and they monetize. They've stolen Tesla's technology and they get you to pay for your TV. Are you seeing it now, people? Welcome to the satellite, folks. Just another one of them NASA jokes. You give 5E a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space. Yeah, go type it into Google right now. And let me welcome you to the satellite, folks. So next time you see a photo of the Earth from space, look for satellites. You won't find a trace. Well, they must have disappeared, I guess. Can't even see any from the ISS. If you want to have yourself a little enjoyment, go watch a NASA satellite deployment.